Hey everybody, it's James here with the Sawyer Family Reviews channel, and today we are taking a break from our marathon of DC Collectibles animated reviews to take a look at the semi-new Mezco 1/12 Collective 1978 Christopher Reeve as Superman figure. Let's check him out. Okay, so Mezco Reeve Superman comes in a tin. He doesn't come in a box like a lot of the standard Mezco stuff. And he also doesn't come in like the square tin like a lot of the exclusive stuff. He comes in this round cylindrical tube tin, which features the Superman movie poster image all around it and the Superman movie logo on one side, Mezco 1/12 logo. The tin stands right at about 9 inches tall. The lid... Come off of there. Oh, wow. Come on. This is like opening those popcorn tins. There we go. Has the Superman logo embossed on it. The finish on this is really nice, too. It's got this, like, nice flat finish. Doesn't feel like a cheap decal or something on there. It is a bit strange. Like, it's weird packaging, I gotta admit. Getting a figure in a tube is weird. Like in a tin like this is strange. I think it's because of the base that they did that, because the base is sort of cylindrical. And I guess it would be tough to make a wide box or something. I don't know, or maybe they just wanted to do something special. To me, it's a little strange. This feels like it's going to be used for like a wastebasket in an office, a really nice wastebasket. But you've got all the figure contained within this clamshell over here that pulls out, so you can see the base, the figure, and all his stuff. And then up top, there's some batteries and the normal Mezco 1/12 baggie. Let's get him out of there. Okay, we got Superman all out of that tin now. First things first, at the bottom of the tin, you will find your Mezco product guidelines sheet. And then we've got the instructions on how to work this awesome Fortress of Solitude base. So if you're looking for the instructions, they're down beneath the plastic clamshell inside the tin. Okay, we're going to kind of work our way up as we go here. He does include the standard Mezco-style circular base. It's got the Superman movie logo on it. It's got this little pin point or peg point where you can peg the figure on if you don't use the flight stand. And typically that pops off pretty easily, and then you just plug in your flight stand. But for the life of me, I can't get mine to unplug. I don't use these flight stands anyway, so it's not a huge deal for me. But ordinarily, it's much, much easier to pop that peg out of there than what I'm being able to do here. I would just press it down with this, and it would pop right out. I'd plug in the flight stand. I know a lot of people will probably use their flight stand since it's Superman. The flight stand is nice. It's got multiple articulation joints. And when I have used these, occasionally, they are tight. They don't feel like the figures are going to fall down, although I would not leave them in them for an extended period of time. I can't recommend you do that because I don't do it myself. But that is super weird that I can't get that peg out this time. I maybe have to heat it up with a hairdryer or something to get that peg to pop out. But again, I don't use it anyway. Okay, next up, let's talk about his extra hands. He does have a pair of flight hands, which I'm trying to make it so you can see these, which are flattened flight hands. And then we've got a pair of gripping hands. And then we've got a pair of more opened gripping hands. Did I show you those guys good? Yeah, you can kind of see those. It's tough to show hands, little tiny interchangeable hands on this. And then we've got one hand that's kind of pinching, and that's for holding the Kryptonian memory crystals. So you can just plug those in the hands. Then we've got a chunk of green translucent kryptonite. And we've got the kryptonite necklace from Superman, the movie, which is also translucent green, but painted gray on the other side. And that can just slip on Superman just like that. Okay, now we're going to talk about this awesome Fortress of Solitude base. So this is kind of the highlight, and I think why it originally cost $125, because this base is pretty cool. So it includes 3 AAA batteries. You put them in the bottom there. Then you've got an off-on switch and then a middle spot. So on has it on all the time. And I'm going to maybe kick off a light just for now so you can see how bright this is. So on would have it on all the time. The middle spot is for the 3 functioning Kryptonian middle memory crystals. So you've got 2 that are clear, which is kind of tough to see because I have a light off now. And then we've got 1 that's green. And each of these has a little tiny piece of metal embedded at the bottom. And at the top of this base, there is 1 crystal spot in the center that is open. You drop it into there, and when the metal touches, it activates the lights. This base is awesome. So if you don't want to have it on all the time, and you don't want to have to flip it over to turn on the function, you can always just turn it to the middle spot. It stays off until you put one of the 3 memory crystals in there. And that is awesome. Let's turn that light back on. Okay, now as for Superman himself, let's talk about his articulation first, and then we will, in a suit, and then we'll talk about the 3 heads. He actually was solicited originally with 2 heads, but he ended up coming with 3 heads. Let's get this out of the way. Put that right there. Okay, so the suit itself is really well done. There's a couple of minor gripes that I have. It looks better in person than I thought it looked in the pictures. The materials are well constructed. I don't see a lot of fraying or anything like that, extra edges anywhere. He does have a wired cape, which is nice. The edge with the wiring of the cape is a little bit on the thick side. So you see where it's like stitched around here. So that's a little bit distracting, but if you pose it right, and I would much rather have a wire than not have a wire. So you can get some really cool flight stuff out of that cape, and it doesn't take long at all to get used to the posing of it. The blue is nice. I think the red is nice. He's got plastic boots, so there's no fabric down here. The major gripes that I have, I guess they're major, maybe minor, is that the underwear piece, it's a little thick. The stitching here is a bit thick, so it kind of billows out a little more maybe than I would like. And the body underneath, the tops of these thighs are pretty obvious due to the tights. Let's get close here. So you can see the circular spots where the thighs insert into the top thigh part. So that's a little bit on the obvious side. It would take some posing to get it just right. But overall, I'm very happy with the way the suit looks. I'm very happy with the way the figure looks overall. I like the way the cape is tucked in here. I think the symbol on the back of the cape is really well done. The size of it, the shape of it. The Superman's suits, the Reeve Superman suits, the S symbol is actually stitched in with fabric. And in most cases, most companies are just going to do a decal. And they've done a decal here as well. But it is a nice decal. And they have more of an excuse for doing it at this scale than Hot Toys had in doing it at 1/6 scale. So doing a stitched-in fabric S at a 6-inch scale figure would be really difficult. I understand why they did it that way. Let's bring in the NECA Reeve so that you can see the 2 of these guys next to each other, which is still a great figure. I still love this NECA Christopher Reeve Superman. I think they did an amazing job on him. And as far as dollars to donuts, or value overall, this was probably the one to go with. Because it was only what, 20, 25 bucks? And this guy's 125 bucks. Yeah, you get a lot more with him, but this is a pretty great figure for that price point. It still holds up really well. But this, if price were no object, I'm spitting, if price were no object, this would be the one to go with. Okay, let's take him off of the stand here. We'll talk about his articulation, and then lastly, we'll focus in on those 3 different heads. So he's got articulation at the ankle, where it hinges back and forth, and then sort of pivots a little bit back and forth. It's a ball joint, not so much a hinge and then swivel or anything like that. It's just mounted on a ball. So you get a lot of free range of movement there at the ankle. We've got rotation at the top of the boot. We've got a double knee joint that can kick back to there. Then we've got rotation at the top of the hip, but it's a little tight on mine. I can't go very far without feeling like there's some resistance. And then we can kick up to there, we can kick out to there, and we can't go really back at all. We've got rotation at the waist, but again, this suit, you don't want to stretch too much because I don't want to hang on to anything. I don't want to catch anything or cause runs in it or anything like that. But there is movement there. And then we've got a mid-torso joint, which can kick him back and to forward, a little bit of side to side, actually quite a bit of side to side. Ooh, look at that. That's got some good movement on it, actually. That's got some really good movement. Then we've got shoulders that hinge out to there and then rotate, but I don't want to rotate all the way around because, again, I don't want to stretch out the material in the suit. There is no butterfly joint that I can feel inside there. We've got rotation at the top of the arm, at the bicep, and then we've got double jointed elbows which kick to right about there. And then we've got a ball-jointed wrist, so we've got it swivels where it pegs in, and then it hinges in and out, and that rotates all around. And then we've got a double-jointed neck, so we've got a joint down at the bottom where it meets the body, and we've got another joint here. So we got, ooh, look at that. You get some really cool flight poses out of him. Yeah, so overall, really cool figure, really cool articulation. Let's talk about the head sculpts now. I'm going to bring in the camera a little bit for this. Okay, let's get a closer look at all these heads he comes with. First, this is the stock head. This is the one that comes on the figure. It's a very good likeness for Chris Reeve. I think this is really sharp. They also have got some nice paintwork going on here where there's a little bit of freckling to the skin, which is tough at this scale. I mean, this is a small head sculpt. To get in there with those little tiny dots to give it that lifelike texture for skin is pretty impressive. So this is probably the head that I'm going to keep on the figure. Then next up, we've got this head here. I'm going to pop it on there, actually. Let me get this off of here real quick. These are very easy to switch out, so this doesn't take long at all. Next is the figure that was the head that was shown in the pictures initially as the only other head it came with, which is the strange smirking sculpt. Now, I'm not going to dog this too much because I can see what they were going for here. There is some strange spots where Chris Reeve had an interesting look in his smile, and that's what they're trying to pull off. The thing is, it's incredibly tough to get that spacing on the teeth right at this size. I would have maybe left the spacing out on the teeth. I would have just put it as one solid piece, and it probably would have been closer to what they were shooting for here. But when you get that spacing in there at that scale, it's tough. If you think about the lines in your own teeth, then taking that down to 6-inch scale, how tiny those lines would have to be painted for it to make sense. They'd almost be invisible. So I would have left that out. I think there's something there in the sculpt. I know what they're going for. They just maybe shouldn't have painted in between the teeth. And then last but not least is this head, which is the head that they included after people complained about that last head so much, which is a sort of a smiling sculpt with the teeth not exposed. And this is the second best head of the bunch. It's got the charm of Chris Reeve without having to do that teeth sculpt, which is, I think, a problem for Mezco a lot, trying to do those open mouth sculpts. I had the white Magneto, and he had the teeth open, and it was just bad. So go with this. If you want a smiling Chris Reeve, use this head instead of that crazy teethy head that I was showing you as the second option. And good on them for seeing that there was a problem, seeing the feedback was like, ooh, this head's a little rough, and going ahead and including this third head, which they did not have to do. Okay, let's give our final thoughts here. Okay, final thoughts on the Mezco Reeve 78 Superman figure. I love the Reeve films. They stand the test of time for me. The first two Superman films are two of my favorite comic films of all time. So anytime there's a collectible of the Christopher Reeve Superman, I'm always interested in it. The price point on this guy is high for a 6-inch scale figure. It's $125 original retail. It's more than that now because it's sold out, it's waitlisted, it's whatever you want to say it is. It's not that much more as of this recording. I guess they produced a lot of them, and the limit was like 6 per person when you first pre-ordered it. I could see him, though, jumping once 89 Batman finally ships, and then people go back and want to complete the world's finest. It's also a figure that's getting pretty good reviews from what I've seen online. So people are happy with it, which could also increase the price, where people now go back and go, oh, okay, maybe I should have got that Chris Reeve Superman. The other factor that may not bring it too much up in price is that there is a new Superman that's just been announced. There's a little bit of fabric fraying as I'm talking to you. See that little spot there? So that's the kind of stuff that bums me out on a $125 figure. Seeing those little fraying fabrics and stuff. All I've been doing is posing around and displaying him here as I talk to you guys. And I'm starting to see, yep, here's another one. Look at this. So see, as I'm talking to you about this, I'm getting more like, man, $125, those little issues shouldn't be there on this guy. But he is a really cool figure. And if you can get past those little nitpicks, it's a neat Chris Reeve Superman figure to have on display. Just be really careful when you're posing around and playing with him, because you're going to end up with stuff like that, little fraying fabrics here and there. If you do decide to get him, I would suggest getting him sooner rather than later. Like I said, once Batman 89 hits, if it ever hits, I think this guy's going to move up in price some. Would I say it was worth $125 though? For me, I'm going to go back to people are probably going to, like, you're crazy saying that, Mezco Reeve, but I'm talking about price point. This cost me, I think, $25 when it came out, and it's a fantastic figure. Well worth the $25. $125 for this guy, and I'm already starting to see a couple of issues here and there. That's a little steep, but I do love Chris Reeve Superman, so I'm not unhappy with my purchase. Okay, so that about wraps it up on this one, and we're going to get back into the DC Collectibles animated reviews. When Batman 89 hits, I will review him. I'll check him out. If you guys enjoy the channel, please like, subscribe, notify, check out the other stuff that's on here, and I'll see you guys next time.